Amidst the bustling city, a royal guard renowned for his unwavering dedication found himself subjected to the mockery of a wealthy aristocrat. The taunts of this affluent young man, Owen Larkin, reverberated through the crowded square, prompting puzzled glances from onlookers. Owen, intent on gaining online fame at any cost, seemed indifferent to the harm he caused. His actions betrayed a sense of invincibility, likely stemming from his privileged background and accustomedness to instant gratification. As Owen grew increasingly frustrated by the royal guard's lack of reaction, he became more determined to provoke a response. He wanted the stoic man to become enraged, believing it would make a compelling viral video. Despite making jokes, insults, and even resorting to throwing food and spitting, Owen received no reaction. With one last attempt in mind, Owen planned to snatch the royal guard's black hat. However, before he could act, other security guards intervened and ordered them to leave immediately. Undeterred, Owen planned to return with two friends and a camera late at night to continue his attempts without interference. Arriving at the square, he found the scene even more ideal than he had hoped. The area was well lit, providing perfect footage opportunities and devoid of tourists. 3 guards stood stationed in front of buildings, presenting Owen with his next target. It did not take long before the guards started to ask Owen to stop bothering him. He was even begging him at some point. The man had trouble even keeping his posture. Lyle had this man right where he wanted him. He knew that it was only a matter of time before this weak soul would break to his torment, but Lyle would end up not even getting that chance. He was about to give the guard a push when he was suddenly interrupted by the sound of screeching tires. He turned around and saw a black van crossing the square at high speeds. The doors swung open, and 5 men jumped out of it. They were dressed in all black and protecting their faces with masks. Without a second of hesitation, they grabbed Owen and his 2 cameramen. They were swiftly thrown into the back of the van, and all Owen could scream before the doors closed was, "Do you know who I am?" As the men clearly did not care, and the royal guard did not move a muscle in this whole ordeal. He tried yelling again, but the gad muffled his words. His friend's panicked breathing was audible. Desperation filled him as he recognized the gravity of his decisions that led to this very moment. The vehicle finally halted. Even through the blindfold, he could tell they were inside a large space. Echoes of their footsteps and the distant murmuring of voices created an eerie ambience. Lyle's heart raced as he heard the muffled voices of his friends. They were calling out to each other, trying to establish contact through the heavy barriers of their blindfolds and gags. Once Owen's friends' voices disappeared entirely, a deafening silence surrounded him. Alone in his uncertainty, Lyle's mind ran rampant with worst-case scenarios. The footsteps came to a halt right in front of Owen. A chilling voice whispered, "Let's talk. You believe the world revolves around you, don't you, Owen?" The figure began, his tone dripping with disapproval. Swallowing hard, Owen mustered the courage to respond. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" The figure remained unmoved, responding with cryptic statements. "You'll understand in time," he replied enigmatically. Owen pushed further. "What's going to happen to me? To my friends?" "Actions have consequences, Owen. Some visible, some less so, though the threat was subtle, its menace was palpable." In the oppressive darkness, Owen's thoughts churned relentlessly. With each passing moment, the gravity of his past behavior became more evident. His chest tightened as the weight of guilt settled in. Memories of laughter and jeers, which once felt triumphant, now felt like shackles. The realization that he had hurt others, not just in jest, but deeply and personally, began to consume him. The jovial crowd and the social media applause all seemed so hollow now. As dawn approached, a flicker of hope began to ignite within Owen. If he could somehow turn this ordeal into a turning point, perhaps he could find redemption. "Owen," the voice boomed, "you've lived off the pain of others for too long. Now it's time to pay. Apologize on video for the world to see, or face consequences you cannot even fathom." The weight of the demand sunk in, and Owen felt the enormity of the situation pressed down upon him. Suddenly, muffled cries echoed through the walls. It was unmistakable, the voices of his friends, their tones filled with anguish and fear. "Owen, do it, please," one voice screamed. Their desperation, the sheer raw emotion in their pleas, added another layer of pressure. Now, perhaps humility and genuine remorse could be his salvation. It wasn't just about escaping the situation. It was about mending the wounds he had caused and finding a path to redemption. Swallowing his pride, Owen nodded slowly. "I'll do it," he murmured, his voice trembling. The screen flickered again, showing the camera setup. Owen hesitated for a moment, swallowed hard, and began to speak. I'm not proud of who I've been. I've laughed at others' pain, took joy in their discomfort. The hurt I've caused, which I'd once found amusing, now became a raw, open wound in my heart. I'm so sorry," he whispered, choking back tears. "I was wrong, so very wrong." He paused, struggling to find the right words. "I hope with time, I can show you that I've changed, that I'm better, that I'm truly remorseful." Still feeling the weight of the video's emotional toll, Owen was startled when the door swung open. Bright sunlight streamed in, temporarily blinding him. Adjusting his eyes, he found himself and his friends being herded out into a vast, unfamiliar wilderness. No buildings, no roads. Owen realized they were miles away from civilization, with only the wilderness as their guide. After a few days of traveling, the trio reunited after a brief separation while searching for food and water. Gathering around a makeshift campfire, they reflected on their experiences. They made a solemn pledge not only to rectify their past mistakes, but also to become advocates for change, promoting empathy, kindness, and understanding. Shortly after Owen's release, his apology video appeared on major platforms, quickly spreading across the internet. Media outlets, influencers, and regular users alike shared and reposted his emotional confession. Determined to translate his words into action, Owen launched a campaign against online bullying and harassment. Collaborating with victims, educators, and experts, he developed resources and tools to combat these issues. Owen's narrative, once centered around his mischievous pranks, transformed into a story of personal growth and advocacy. While this marked just the beginning of his journey, Owen remained dedicated to making a meaningful impact.